Hey guys, welcome back to Creatures, Caverns, and Crafting. Today we're going to take another page from our Mutant Crawl Classic Handbook to create devil hoppers. Devil is basically a generic term used in the Mutant Crawl Classic universe for giant mutated insects. The hopper is a giant cattle-sized grasshopper that grazes the land. These are known for their ability to jump, they're fast, they make excellent mounts, and today we're going to try to create one of them on the table. For this build, we'll be using the Galaxy Laser Team playset as well as some dollar store grasshoppers. I also had some leftover Warhammer Bretonnian Knights. Here's a close-up of some of the figures. Some of these I've used on previous projects before. I want to make a note that if you don't have the Bretonnian figure, don't be discouraged for this build. We could always use a Cowboy and Indian playset. We're mainly looking for something that mounts on a horse. Here are some of the tools we'll be using: a wire cutter, a small drill bit for pinning, and a razor knife for more precision cuts. I started off by chopping the playset into pieces to make a more unique model. To give support to the figure, I used a small drill bit to create a hole that I could E6000 a piece of wire into. I then used the wire cutters to fit the wire to size. Here's the model put together. With the E6000 the wire, it's very sturdy. One thing I did notice about this was the giant hole in the back. To cover that, at first I decided maybe to use a backpack. But I thought these were mutants, so why not a butterfly? All I'll be doing here is just trimming down the head and the feet and just applying the wings to the back. Here's a second model I created using the exact same steps before. Again, all we're doing is using some E6000. We'll use that wire to pin the head in place, and we'll just allow it to dry. Here I've taken a simple matchstick and carved it down to make a club for my third model. I wanted to just show how easy it is to create weapons. Just think outside the box. Maybe use a toothpick or something like that if you don't have a lot of materials on hand. The dollar store figures I'm using came very warped. This is mainly because they were in the packaging for so long. Out of the three, every single one of them had some sort of warping issue. And to fix this, we're just going to dip the grasshopper into some hot boiling water, like so. And then we're just going to dip it into some ice water. A couple of things to note here. One, safety. You are using hot boiling water. Kids, if you're watching this video, get a parent to help you if you're wanting to do this. Second, I'm only dipping the figures in for a few seconds, literally no more than 5 seconds. Any more, this figure will probably melt into the pot. And we're going to move on to our last grasshopper. And doing this should remove any type of releasing agent that might have been left over from the molding process, so no sense in cleaning this after it's dried. Once we're done, we should have something that looks like this. I'm going to quickly drill 2 holes into the grasshopper. The first will be on the bottom here, the second one will be on the top. I'll use that top hole to mount the model on and just secure it with some E6000. This is a photo of all 3 models put together. They're also mounted on the grasshoppers. I went ahead and primed these using an Army Painter primer, specifically blue, green, and tan. To get some reins to the grasshopper, I'm just using some lightweight twine. I'll fit this and then cut and glue. Next, we're going to apply some basic colors to the model. First, I'll use an opaque blue on the grasshopper, butter pecan for the clothing, vintage white for the wings, Ironbreaker for the armor, and some general highlights with the Scarsnet green and desert turquoise. We're going to tie all this together using some washes. This is going to bring out some great detail. Here I'm using Nulland Oil and Dragonolf Nightshade. We'll allow that to dry and then apply highlights. For highlights, we're picking things out like the eyes, dry brushing the wings, adding a glaze to the Dazer pistol, and some general highlights to the shoulder and armor. I'm going to use this clear piece of PLA to give the illusion that the grasshopper is jumping through the air. Here's a 28mm base I've drilled a hole through. I'm just going to fit the PLA through to the desired length. I'm going to take the top and insert it into the hole that we drilled earlier to the grasshopper. I'm going to use some hot glue to make all this fit together, and then I'm going to add a penny just to give it some weight. One thing to note here, if you don't have PLA, you can use some clear plastic. Packaging plastic is perfect. As I've done on some previous projects, I'm going to first start out with this Vallejo Earth Texture Paint. I'm going to allow that to dry and then apply a bark brown. Just to add a little additional definition, I'm going to go over it with a null and oil shade, allow that to dry, and then a simple dry brush of butter pecan. To add a little additional flavor, I added rocks for flocking. And now we'll go to the table and see how it looks.
Here's something.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. As always, greatly appreciate your viewership. Looks like we're getting more and more subscribers every week. We're going to continue to pop these videos out on the regular. Look forward to your input. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, and follow. We'll see you next week. Stay safe.